Hey, this is Scott with Lola Vain. You're listening to Rock at Night.
Yeah. Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. Not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Now, get on down.
Hi, my name is Anita Stewart. I'm the managing editor for Rock at Night. And I'm sitting here tonight talking to Scott Hammonds and Brian Bazard of Lola Vain, Phoenix-based band. Brian is living currently in Phoenix, and Scott is in Music City, Nashville. And just recently, they put out 2 singles, I'm Alive, Dirty, Filthy, Crazy, both on video as well. And they're getting some great traction on the streaming networks, lots of hits. And the band already has thousands of followers, and they're just getting started. Rocket Night is spending time with you guys, talking a little bit about how this all got going and what your plans are for the future as well. So let me just begin at the beginning and find out how both of you got into music early on.
Yeah, so I'll start. So I come from a big family, 10 brothers and sisters, and every single one of us is somewhat musically inclined. And my parents, my dad was a musician. My mom, not so much, but my mom was more of a performer. So I've got a little of those genes. I've got the music gene and then the performance kind of gene. So growing up, my older sisters were the ones that really turned Katie and Tracy. They turned me on to music, specifically Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Styx, like all the great bands from like the 70s. So I early on I knew I wanted to do something musical, and so that's kind of where it all started. And then I started developing my own tastes, and AC/DC was one of my favorites. And that's AC/DC Back in Black was probably the album that really kind of catapulted me into like, hey, I want to do that,
Right.
So I was a bit of a late bloomer on guitar. My parents made me take piano lessons when I was 7, and I hated every minute of it, but I'm so glad they did because it formed this total musical foundation for me. And then obviously I piano wasn't sexy enough, so I played drums. I played drums for a long time, and then I took up guitar at 12, and from there I was just obsessed with guitar forever. So that's kind of how it started for me.
And Scott, how about you?
I had a lot of music being played in my family's home when I was growing up. My father, I would say, was the key to bringing me into music. He played drums back when he was in, his teenage years to, before he, had a family, of course. And he, always had and when I was young, he always had a kit, there at the house, and I'd jam on it, and old Slingerland set, if I remember right. And and he was always playing music in the house. The records were always spinning back in the days when there were records. And it was great times to just growing up around a lot of the great artists that he'd play in the rock world, from the Eagles to like Brian said, Styx and Bad Company, all those greats that are big influence on me today. And basically I started with just learning beats and stuff there. And then my grandfather got me a guitar because he played steel guitar. So he'd gotten like an acoustic type of guitar. I think it was acoustic at the time. And then he had, I got a cheap electric that I saved up my money for. Worked at the, jobs in the neighborhood, mowing lawns and stuff like that back in the day to get up enough money to buy my first guitar. And I was just a guitar player, writing songs. I always wrote, and I think that's basically as far as I wanted to go on it. I didn't want to be a lead player. I was drawn to, at the time, Eddie Van Halen's and all that were out today. And it was nice to see those guys come up, be, as far as like, be the first ears on music like back, if you lived in those days, this is the early 80s there, and getting to hear all that stuff for the first time was really, groundbreaking. And not only that, it was addicting to listen to music back then. You used your imagination because you looked at records back then versus, this before MTV, and then MTV hit and it kind of even exploded that much more. But I would just, always writing songs on it. And then I tried to get into a band, and I was just going to be a rhythm player, but then, I wasn't the greatest guitar player, and there's always better guitar players, and I didn't put my focus there. And they were like, man, you write these songs, why don't you just try singing? And, I always sang the stuff, and it was just like, I thought I was all right at it. But, I kept practicing and practicing, and some of my friends that were in bands with me were like, hey, stay with the guitar. And some did say, go with singing, and, you push through it and you push through it, and then you get to where you actually can do it. And so then, they come back and say, man, actually, you proved me wrong. You actually, saying, just, it's like anything else. Sometimes you have a little bit of a gift to be able to hit ranges and stuff, but you got to work the voice and work everything. So it took time, and I developed my voice and just really worked at it to get where I could sing. And then I got into, original bands and played a lot of original bands, and then started working in, covers later on, and then went back to originals, so it's back and forth, but it taught me a lot. But that's basically, the gist of how I got to be a singer.
Being the front man has its own certain responsibilities too, because, it's like all eyes are on you when you're on the stage, or the guitarist if they're really, playing and up towards the front. One thing I've noticed is when you're playing guitar, anybody's playing guitar, there's usually a crowd of people around them trying to figure out what they're doing on the guitar. And the other thing I was going to add in too is about just the album rock in general, because I think it gave all of us an opportunity to really research the different bands. And usually an album would have a concept, and it would start with the first song and go to the last cut on it on the flip side. And it was interesting to let the musician tell a story. So how do you all find that this is like a different time and a different scenario now, where people are cutting singles and they're changing kind of the formula on how they get their music out? Can you say anything about that, or how that's different, or how it may change it up? Do you think you're getting more traction by releasing singles?
No, I think you just hit the nail on the head, that the music business has kind of been turned on its head. And I have a good friend of mine that told me there's no business in the music business anymore. And that's not necessarily true if you're a bazillion selling artist. There's definitely a living to be made there, but things have changed. And I do remember the first album I ever got for Christmas. I think I was like 7, was Elton John, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy.
Yeah.
And that album cover alone, I would just sit and study in the artwork, and it was just crazy. And so yeah, I think I miss that, but we're a consumer society now. So people want what they want. They don't want to wade through deep cuts on an album, which is unfortunate, because that's some of the stuff that we all grew up on and we love. But yeah, it's a consumer society, and yeah, you have to pivot at times to try to be in the game a little bit. And we are in a singles culture as far as music goes, which is good in a way, because you don't have to come up with 10 or 12 songs before you release something. You can,
Right.
Scott and I are writing like all the time, and also it's like, hey, this is done. Let's just like, I mean, we could have waited and recorded an album, but we're more like we really intensely focus on every piece of the song to make the song as best it can be. And then even just a couple of weeks ago, we started working on an idea, and just a couple of days in, we're like, no, this isn't working. Let's not even waste our time doing this. Back in the day, you might have done that as just like a filler song to put in there. It wasn't terrible, but we weren't feeling it. So, and that's a very circuitous answer to your question, kind of going all over the map. But yeah, I think that the way it is now is more singles driven. I won't say that we won't put out an album at some point. I'm sure we probably will. But for right now, this is the kind of the cadence that works for us.
The other thing that is quite different, and I think COVID has probably pushed this along, is you don't have to worry about the logistics of getting everybody into one studio. Now, COVID forced musicians pretty much to do whatever they're going to do on their end, wherever they are respectively, cut a track and somehow put those tracks together later, even though y'all are remote.
Yeah.
So many musicians went and did this in 2020 and 2021 when there was very few touring and people didn't really want to be in the studio together.
Yeah, to be honest with you, this has been going on longer than that, but it really started to take shape through the COVID thing. And I've been working, with other projects for the last 10 years that are mostly remote. So I think it's opened the door to being able to work with artists. Like I worked with, somebody that was in Croatia, I think if you look at the arc of technology, it's insane what tools you have available now at your disposal. If you put in a little bit of time to go through the learning curve and learn how to, I had to learn how to run Pro Tools and, how to engineer audio and then so Scott, this wouldn't even be possible, what Scott and I are doing, if it wasn't for technology. I mean, Scott sends me an idea, I rough things out, I send it back to him, he cuts vocals in Nashville, sends it back to me. We have drums cut, at a studio here in Mesa. And then, Maureen Lacoste from Uncle Cracker's cutting V3 in Canada. So it's really cool. Some would say that you're missing that vibe of being together in the same room, which I do agree with that a little bit. But for the most part, you can be very, very productive and very creative being remote. Scott, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, technology is amazing nowadays. You couldn't do that maybe, in the 80s or even 90s,
Right.
But yeah, it has opened up the door a lot. And just to back up to your previous question too about singles, if you think about it, back before vinyl, when it was, just 45s, back in the day, before mine and Brian's time and your time, they were spinning 45s, and Elvis's time, and before that, Buddy Holly and all those were all 45s, and they were all singles back then. So I think the market's kind of resurfaced back to doing that again in a digital format. However, going to the question that you're asking about, with the technology and being able to do all that, the great thing about Brian is he's got a great sense, and this was told to me by even my producer guy out here that I work with for doing some vocals with. He's got a great sense of drumming because, again, he started out drumming, so he can. A lot of the reasons you want to get in the same room is to get the drums right. So when you can get the right feel for it, so you'll do the song over and over, and then everything gets scratched. Usually they'll take sometimes they'll keep the rhythm tracks on there, but a lot of times just to get those drums, perfect. And so we're able to do that because he'll program them awesome. And before we get the live drummer on it, he'll send it out to me, and we'll go back and forth and go, does that feel right? Does, till we get that feeling like as if we were right there in the same room. And that's why it works so great, because we can nail down the feeling of it, and we can just speed it up, slow it down, or change a beat. And then once we get that, then we got the foundation. We start building upon that. He sends it out to me, and then we'll go back and once I lay down the vocals, we've been replacing it with real drums, but they just copy exactly what we already have there. So it's like they're right on the same time. Everything's there to just mimic what we've already got. Unless we, down the future, we might just keep the sample drums, because everything sounded so great with technology. Now we might even be able to just keep the drums. So that's the great thing. You can't even tell nowadays with some of the kits, they sound so original. They sound like a real drummer playing. And we've got those sounds, so we might just keep that, because again, once we replace them, we're like, wow, there's a small, minute change between what we have with the drum machine versus what we're hearing with the live drummer. But again, it's the feel is there. So we're lucky to get that and be able to figure that out. And then we can just build upon it. And we're like, hey, why don't you try this? Or why don't you try this? And so we're still, it's like we're in the same room, even though we're miles apart.
Yeah, we've done FaceTime sessions where Scott will pick up his guitar and I can see him, like even just like the phone technology where you can just instantly see what we can be in the same room virtually, and Scott can play, hey, I got this idea for a verse here or a chorus. What do you think of this? And so it's remote, and I guess the whole world has kind of gone remote a little bit. I mean, look at us right now. I mean, I love that we can be all in different areas of the world and have a conversation. It's really cool.
Yeah, I liked also during COVID, they're not doing it as much now, but during COVID, they were doing concerts where you could actually watch from home, which I thought that's really great just for people that can't get out, or, they live 200 miles away from a venue to see a live show. And I just thought that is just so convenient and so cool. And I loved that idea when it was happening. And once in a while, you'll see a few of those shows, that'll cross the internet, and I still sign up for the ones that I want to see. So you've got 2 singles out now, I'm Alive and Dirty Filthy Crazy, both great videos, great songs. Can you tell us a little bit about the recording of the videos for those? And it really looked like I'm Alive was just like a huge party. And then Dirty Filthy Crazy used some really great, very colorful special effects. So fill us in on how you did that and how you got the concept for both of those, and the songs.
Brian, you want me to go on this one?
I'll let you take this one. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So good question. 2 different concepts completely, the way we approached recording of the videos. The first one, we were looking for the stay in our budget, and I had a friend of mine, my producer, and I said, hey, you know anybody that can stay in a pretty decent budget that we can afford, that we can get a great video that's someone with a lot of just talent that's up and coming. And he goes, I have the perfect person for you. Her name is Talia, and she's incredible. We watched some of her stuff that she put together, and other videos, and and I sent it to Brian and some other friends. And so what do you think? And they really thought she was talented, from what they saw, and really had some great concept ideas. Sent her the song and she loved it. And she lived in Nashville before, but she had moved to LA. So she travels back and forth between the two. And I said, well, when are you going to be here so we could schedule this all together and just try it, see what we could do, see how it comes out. Which she goes, I'll be able to put this together and make it look great. So she has a little crew here and a little crew in LA. So she brought her crew down. We found a house in Nashville here. It's you can rent this house out. It's a trippy house. It's got everything, that you from the like retro in it, right? So, and it had a lot of imagery. We wanted something that was going to be colorful and in the video and kind of be, just not just some guys playing in a house, right? So we rented this house and brought as many of the friends that we could find in the area, let them know about it, because the band was still brand new, so not everybody knows about us. That was the first single. So we just went off pretty much who we knew that we could get down there to be in the video. And they came down, and it was really a great time. She did a great job on it. That was more of a traditional video feel of it, meaning that we had real camera that, she had great equipment, had the big, huge lights. And I mean, it was just like, a regular video shoot that you would, used to pay thousands and thousands and thousands for. We were able to do it on a smaller budget like that and get it done. And I thought she did a great job. The second video, and that was I'm Alive. So the second video, we did a whole different concept. We were trying to see if what we could do with the budget, because videos get expensive until you get somebody paying for them. So it's coming out of Brian and I's pocket. So we're like, all right, let's figure out how we could do this with technology. So I was searching on the internet, and I saw this video from Lit. You remember that band Lit? Okay,
Right.
so they had this this video that was basically like a lyric video, but the guy that did this lyric video made it look almost like a real video. I would have thought it would have been, so I thought it was better than some of their other videos that they shot. Right. So, but it was a lyric video, and he put all this cool stuff, and he did this colorization for this lyric video. And I go, I think that would be awesome if we could do something like that the colorization and shoot it from home. So, I got a hold of him, and I told him the concept, and he said, absolutely, I can make that work. He was, younger guy, really good with technologies in his early 20s. And he thought, let's give this a shot. I can definitely do what you're wanting me to do and film it. So we all filmed in our home doing the song on an iPad. I did mine on an iPad. Everybody did theirs on their phones, their cell phones.
Wow.
So he just said, give me, the headshot down to your waist, and some far back. So we shot, it's cheap when you do it like that, because you're shooting your own video footage, and we just all got some ring lights and some maybe some assistance from family members or whatever. Or my wife helped me out on that one, and she filmed me with her iPad, and I just stood there and just performed like I was doing the other video. And we got all the video footage. I sent it to him, and they sent theirs to him, and he goes, yep, that'll work, or shoot one more time and do this, and then I'll put it all together. So then I sent him some stock footage with, that we could use, that was legal to use. And we combined that with the stock footage, and he put the colorization on it. And then there you go. And we were able to do that I think we did that for $700.
It was like very Peter Max with all the colors, very trippy, psychedelic. I loved the special effects on that. And I thought it was cool that the gal who did the first one, I'm Alive, she's got my same last name, Talia Stewart. So I thought
yes,
that
I was gonna say I wanted to give her a plug. Talia Stewart is amazing. She
did a great job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it looked like a party. It just looked like a real party going on in the house. And I'm sure there's a lot of settings like that throughout Nashville. So, different bands can go and record. So you are putting a full-scale band together, the two of you, so you can actually do some touring. And how's that getting put together? Is it going to be people you know? Are you interviewing people? How's that working for you?
So that's a great question. So so Scott and I we're a duo, and we kind of created this thing, and then we're all of a sudden like, oh shit, we gotta think about putting a band together, and so the quick answer is we don't know yet who's going to be in the band. We're not sure, and we at the turn of the new year, we were like, oh, we have to start really thinking about this. So I don't have a good answer for you about any names yet of who's going to be in it, but we're gonna put it together. A lot of times when you record songs and there's lots of layers of, it's like we want it to be killer, and so right. But I mean, we would probably need a 10-piece band to pull it off, you know what I mean? So there's going to be some areas where we need to probably do something creative to try to pull off some of the work that we've done. But yeah, it's going to be cool. We want it to be awesome. That's the thing. I don't want to go out and half-ass it at all. We've kicked some names around back and forth about the who part of it. But and most of the people we know are busy in other bands, and so we have to get schedules together. And so yeah, we didn't want to just go out and be a bar band,
Right.
right off the bat. So there's some of that where we want it to be an event, and yeah, I don't know, Scott, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that Brian said is on point there. We wanted to give a live band. We needed to put something together when we felt like we had something to offer the people. We wanted to get some songs together we thought were really great that inspired us to go put a live band together. Because we've done the live bands. All of us have been in live bands. Yeah, many of them, and this thing we wanted to say, let's try to write songs that you don't hear anymore. So when you go to create something, I just saw a great thing and I thought, man, this is exactly the way I feel. I think Brian feels the same from what I've got from him on it. But like if you go back to Tom Schultz from Boston, he made that first record to basically for what he wanted to hear in music. He created an amp that he wanted it, to sound like. So he was very innovative, but he created something specifically that he wanted to hear. With us, a lot of stuff's been done, but we wanted to take all of our influences and create something you don't hear anymore. There's a lot of stuff that has gone to the wayside that was great, that maybe only classic rock stations are playing now. And there's a lot of wanting to hear that music again. We hear it all the time. It's just not being either pushed in the marketplace, or it might not be interested because they think it might not get the light of day. I always believe that the cream rises to the top. If you write great songs, it'll sooner or later get out there and people will find out what you're doing. So we wanted to create a little bit of a buzz before we put everything together. And so that's, our goal is to try to get something out sometime this year with the live band, but we wanted to release at least 2 to 3 singles, get everything rolling first, and really start to steamroll the songs out, after that, and put the band together somewhere in this year.
One of the cool things about the older music is you mentioned Boston, for example. That's just one band in particular. But when you heard them play, they were unmistakable. They had their own sound. And you could hear the song that was getting the airplay on the radio. Then you could flip the album at home and listen to another song and know that it was Boston playing the song. Absolutely. So developing your own sound is like a big thing, especially with a new band and getting together with new people who may have their own individual energy going into it. So do you have anything to add to that, or anything that you can say to that? What is the sound that you're trying to achieve, in other words?
So I will go on record saying I don't know that we've completely found our sound yet. We are kind of in the process of figuring that out. We have tons of influences, a plethora, and I think what we've created is cool and it's original, but I think we're still searching a little bit. We got a new single that's coming out in a couple weeks, and it's different. It's different from the other two. And we're working on a new one just right now that sounds different also. So and maybe that is our sound. It's hard to pin down,
Because it's kind of like a 90s, it's kind of like an 80s, 90s rock. So it's not really that retro because there is a lot of new element to it, but it is something I haven't heard before. So that's good,
Yeah, you nailed it. And the next one is got a combo of that too. You remember a lot of the bands that we grew up on, like Queen, for instance,
right,
had like Bohemian Rhapsody. And I use this and tell this a lot, but Bohemian Rhapsody to, Fat Bottom Girls to Another One Bites the Dust. None of them sound the same, right? I didn't like when a band got pigeonholed and they had a sound, but everything sounded exactly the same. I liked, when you get a variety like that. I thought that was really cool. I'm like, wow, still sounds like Queen, but it's totally two different styles of songs. So we always wanted, that's one thing that we're going to incorporate, even though we might not have completely got our sound yet. Maybe like Brian said, maybe that is our sound. Just we're all over the map as far as style wise, but it still sounds like us. Like Merry-Go Round that's going to be coming out next still sounds like us, though it's totally different from I'm Alive and totally different from Dirty Filthy Crazy. It's moods. Music is moods, right? So when you get in the
Right.
car, you might be in a happy mood, you might be in a more of a somber mood, or whatever your mood is, and that's what I love about music. And so that's what we try to create, stuff that we're mood when we listen to a song, whatever mood we're in, it appeals to us at that moment, so we're going to have a lot of different shifts in the music like that, where the moods are different and styles might be different, but it's still going to collectively sound like Lola Vain.
How did you get the musicians together to record the first two singles? Was that a challenge, or were there people ready to play with you on those?
So that's a good question too, and I have luckily I've got a good Rolodex of musicians that I respect and admire, and Scott the same, and there were some kind of caveats that had to happen on the front end. Meaning they had to have the ability to record, obviously, and they had to be kick-ass players,
Right.
And that's one thing I learned through audio engineering, is that if the performances are good, the song almost mixes itself. So we wanted great players, and so yeah, Ken Mary played the drums on both tracks. In fact, all three tracks. The new one's coming out too. He plays for Flotsam and Jetsam. He played with Alice Cooper. He's played with the Allman Brothers. He's playing right now with Jack Russell's Great White.
Wow.
He's a
Yeah.
phenomenal drummer and a phenomenal audio engineer, and his drums always sound kick ass. They just sound perfect. And yeah, and to that point of, we demo everything on I use mostly Addictive Drums, which is a program. The real drums, they're just, most of the time there's a feel, and the cymbals sound different, and it's like, okay, so but the technology is getting better, so I'm not sure how that'll always play out, but for bass we use Chris Cotero, we use Pete Griffin, and then Maureen Lacoste is one of the best Hammond B3 players on the planet today, and she kicks ass, and her tones are like dirty and percussive, and she was like the missing kind of link to what we were trying to go for, and so I have these people now that I can like go to and say, hey, we got this new song, and they're eager to work on it, and it's good. I think having these high quality musicians has really helped us a lot, I think.
And out here on my side, it was great because on the mix side, so Brian will get, the guys out there to play on it. We'll send it to Maureen out there in Canada, and she plays with Uncle Cracker, by the way, just a little plug for her.
Right.
And then when he gets everything done, I have a buddy out here that, I sought after to get him to mix it. His name is Anthony Fox, and Anthony has been the engineer mixer, mainly mix guy for and may even mastering for the producer. Brian, you know who I'm talking about. I just can't think of the name.
Yeah, Buck Cherry. He's worked with Aerosmith. He's worked with
the name. Just trying to draw a name. Anyway,
Bobby Huff.
No, Bobby Huff's the guy I work with on the vocals, but for Anthony worked for him, and I just can't think of his name.
Oh.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just drawing a blank.
I can't remember his name either.
Anyway, he's a big time producer like for Aerosmith and everything else. He's who Anthony worked for, and Anthony is a superb mixer and engineer. He started back with them in LA, and then they moved out here and did everything for the last 14 years out here in Nashville, doing a lot of big records, from country like stuff to down to rock stuff. So he did a great job on the mixes. You could tell the mixes are just really high fidelity mixes. I mean, they're big, they're wide, and definitely a lot of things that you if you're into that side of music, that you can tell the difference between that and somebody locally that, might not have the experience that he had.
We're getting close to the end of our time, so I wanted to just ask you, this is like a huge project you're undertaking. But where do you all see yourself 5 or 10 years from now? And when you hit like 60, are you going to be in the rocking chair or are you going to be rocking?
I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to keep going as long as I can, and I've always said that until you have to wheel me out in a wheelchair. I mean, that's what I love doing, and I know Scott's the same. We all have played in live bands, and it's just that feeling of being on stage is amazing, and equally as amazing is that feeling of creating new music. There's nothing like that feeling of starting. Scott sends me an idea. It's just him on his acoustic guitar, and then it becomes this thing, and that's really cool. So yeah, I think we'll be writing for sure until I drop dead, probably.
I'd agree with that. Same here. It's in your blood. It's in your blood. You just can't say, well, I'm done now. I'm a certain age. That's why you still see the Stones out there touring, right? They kind of set the bar. They move the goalpost. As long as, you could say if they're doing it at 80 something years old now, that's pretty full much. I mean, that's pretty much the full life of most people, right? And they're still out there playing stadiums. So if they could do it.
Yeah, we covered the Stones just last October, actually, with Ghost Towns. And I had seen the Stones before, but Mick Jagger is probably healthier than probably most of the people that were in the stadium. And he just kept going for hours like the Energizer Bunny. I was really, really surprised that he could keep going like that. I thought it was kind of full circle because this was in Tampa, and because I'm in Tampa, and he wrote "I Can't Get No Satisfaction" at a little hotel in Clearwater, which is right across the bridge. And so it was kind of interesting, and he remembered that and mentioned it. And I thought, this guy is 78 years old and he remembered that.
That crazy. That's
yeah. I just remembered I lost my keys today, and it took me like an hour to find them. So yeah, Mick Jagger is an enigma. Those guys are all enigmas. I mean, just insanely talented and insanely physically active, and yeah. So that is Scott was right. They set the bar, and they're continually moving the goalposts every day.
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us here at Rock at Night. And I just want to tell our listeners, go to Spotify or your regular streaming platform. Check out the 2 songs. I'm Alive, Dirty, Filthy, Crazy. We've got Merry Go Round, the 3rd single that's going to be coming out. And we'll be looking for more music coming from you guys. Really excited to see how this is going to turn up, and hopefully when you get a tour going, you'll be stopping by in Tampa
for sure. And just one last plug, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It would be very helpful. We're almost to 1,000. We're at 957. We need a few more to get to 1,000, so help us out.
Absolutely.
When you're helping out bands on the social networks, that gives them the ability to do a lot more with the social networks once they have the numbers up there. So anybody who's hearing this, go give it a like or a follow. So
absolutely. Nita, thank you for having us on Rock at Night.
Rock at Night. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Right.
You too.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
She's got lines on the mirror, she's caught up in the game, and she don't know where by the hand and leads me to another way. 'Cause I'm alive with my arms around you. I'm alive with the things that you do. I'm alive when I need a reaction. I'm alive when I'm inside of you. Yeah, walks, leads me into a red room, turns me on like a light. I know it's hard to behave now, till the feeling's over. I get lost and I can't let go. Now don't stop 'cause I want it more. I know she's got another play, but I'll face down. 'Cause I'm alive with my arms around you. I'm alive with the things that you do. I'm alive when I need a reaction. I'm alive when I'm inside of you. 'Cause I'm alive with my arms around you. I'm alive with the things that you do. I'm alive when I need a reaction. I need a reaction when I'm inside of you. 'Cause I'm alive. I'm alive.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.